Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to My Deep Guide, and in today's video you are seeing double. No, you're not. This is the Note Air 4C versus Note Air 3C. I mean, you can barely tell them apart, but there are significant differences, significant enough to actually warrant making a video like this, because I think quite a few people are going to be interested to actually see, like, okay, how different are they? And this is an opportunity that I thought it would be useful to actually have them back to back and see how they stack up against each other. Before we begin, if you do like the work that I do, I invite you to check out mydeepguide.com/shop, where you can find MDO and MMP, both of which are hyperlinked PDF files. In the case of MDO, it helps you organize all of your weekly, yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily organizing personal or professional needs. And in the case of MMP, My Deep Guide Meeting Planner, it helps you simplify, centralize, and organize all of your meeting planning needs. More details you can find in the links in the description below, but know that purchasing of these products actually helps the independence of My Deep Guide directly, so I thank you for that. Plus, it's the end of the year, so it's time to start planning year 2025, and the best way to do that is with the MDO 2025. All right, let the battle commence. And let's start the comparison between the Note Air 3C, in this case on the left-hand side, and the Note Air 4C, this time on the right-hand side, with their overview. Design-wise, there's almost nothing at all to differentiate them. The color is almost exactly the same. The size is exactly the same. Note Air 4C is apparently 10 grams lighter, but effectively they have the same thinness, same housing. The only basically physically observable difference that you can see is the location and the color of the logo. Specifications on the paper, very similar, if not identical specifications, with the difference being that the Note Air 4C has a different SoC employed. It has 6 gigabytes of RAM instead of 4 gigabytes of RAM on the 3C. It has an Android 13 versus Android 12 on the 3C, and the front light, despite the screen being the same, the front light that is being used is different on these two devices. I personally prefer the front light of the Note Air 3C. The difference I would describe is in the quality of light or the comfort of the light. Quality of the light is, I think, better on the 4C because it doesn't have that spine shadow that you do have on the 3C, but the light color and just the quality of the light itself is more comfortable on the 3C for me than it is on the 4C. I couldn't find a comfortable type of light setting on the 4C, no matter what I did. Neither the intensity nor the color, while on the 3C I didn't have any problems at all. So that is definitely a difference also to keep in mind. Price-wise, there is no difference whatsoever because they both cost $499. Image quality, aside from that front light difference that I talked about, I think that they're using the same screen because I really can't see any meaningful differences in the image quality. There is a small difference in how the colors are rendered and displayed on the Note Air 4C, but that difference is noticeable only in certain type of situations and in certain type of content. Here is a more generalized type of example, and I'm using exactly the same settings. So front light is off on both of the devices, and I'm using the exact same refresh modes, meaning regal, normal, no full refresh rate, and drag to refresh is speed mode, and all that applied to all documents is the same stuff. So we're using the same settings, and there's nothing in them between them speed wise. So when you're going like this, it doesn't really make any difference. I can't notice any difference in whiteness whatsoever. I mean, everything looks pretty much exactly the same. Let me just see color wise, I have custom. Let's switch to vivid. There we go. Now we have the same, because I noticed the sky was a little bit different. So let's have that exactly the same as well. And they both look good, and they look, more importantly, they look the same. So the blacks are the same, the whites are the same, the reds are the same, the performance to the best of my ability to tap them at the same time, I think is pretty much the same. Let's swipe up and get them to a speed mode. All right, so both in speed mode. And let's see the performance there. Here, well, I thought that there was a difference at first, that maybe 4C was faster, but I think it's my fingers, because I can't really tap at the same exact time, because now I notice that sometimes 3C is faster, sometimes 4C is faster. So for me, I think that this is pretty much, so let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, it is. 4C is faster. You could see clearly when you start tapping and scheduling commands, 3C is lagging behind. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go, definitely. So you do have to push it a bit further, but we can expose a performance difference, noticeable performance difference in real world between the two. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You'll get there. Oh, swap, was it one more? Yeah, one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It gets there, but it is lagging behind. Okay, the final test that I want to do between the two is using the color palette document, the same document on both of them, same refresh mode, and I went into custom settings for the color settings here, so that everything is set to 0, right? And high contrast is off. So we are now in regal mode with everything set here. So let's try and refresh. Wait a minute, there we go. So now it's refreshed, no ghosting. And from what I can, we need to fit to width here. So we can fit to screen. And I'm going to fit to screen as well here. God, these icons are awful looking when compared to the other one. Let's see, there are some differences. Fit to width is wider on the 4C than it is on the 3C. Okay, but I think it is good enough that we can compare the palette. And from what I can see, I can't see any meaningful differences between the two. Both are able to display the full color gamut. They're not eating up any of the colors in any meaningful way. Even these two that are very similar, there is a differentiation between them. And more importantly, the color content looks the same, but here we can see a little bit of difference in the reds. So this is the difference I was talking about, that the 4C renders colors a little bit differently. And this square here and this section of the colors here, you can clearly see it. It's far more saturated and denser on the 3C, while the same color is paler and less saturated on the 4C. And I'm pretty sure that if I were to spend a lot of time looking at this gradient, that I would be able to find more examples. But this is the first example, or the best looking example, that I think that the camera would be able to pick up clearly. So not a huge difference, but there are some differences. I can't notice any differences in brightness of the background, and I can't notice any differences in the blackness of the blacks. Battery life on the Note Air 4C is significantly, and in some cases dramatically, better than it is on the Boox Note Air 3C. Both from reading perspective and writing perspective, but especially when doing continuous reading tests, you can see that in the same conditions where we have front light at 100%, when Note Air 3C was performing at 8.33 hours per charge, Note Air 4C would deliver 21 hours per charge of continuously flipping pages with the front light at 100%. With the front light at 50%, we had 14.28 say 8 hours per charge on 3C and 50-ish hours on 4C, and that shoots up to an even bigger difference because Note Air 3C was having the same 1428, while Note Air 4C would shoot up to 66 hours per charge of continuously reading or flipping pages, which basically puts it on par with performing as good as non-BSR enabled devices. Where it does fall behind non-BSR enabled devices is in the writing, but even there it is still better performing than the Note Air 3C. So across the board, battery life is much better on the Note Air 4C. What remains to be seen is to see if this is a result of a hardware difference and change, or is that a difference, something that they've tweaked in the software so that the BSR methodology and when BSR is actually used has maybe been updated. So that remains to be seen. I will rerun the tests on the Note Air 3C and then just kind of post them if I see something different. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see when OS 4 comes out, if maybe that will improve the battery life on the Note Air 3C or not. But as it stands, Note Air 4C absolutely dominates Note Air 3C as far as battery life goes. Aside from the near identical writing latency, with a slight advantage again going to the Note Air 4C. So again, it does have a slight advantage over the 3C. It's a bit better. The most important part for me is the writing comfort, writing precision, and all that kind of stuff. And because they both have the same type of flex screen panel that gives way and doesn't push back in a hard way when you're writing on them, they are both equally comfortable, and because the software is equally precise, they both equally capture the quality of your handwriting, and everything is a really very close match, with the slight advantage going to the Note Air 4C with slightly better writing latency. But this should match. And again here, and again here. So I've tried to match the thickness, and you can see that the performance is really similar. The writing feel is really similar. I'm using the same pen. This is the pen, this is the Kindle Scribe Premium pen, and I'm using one of the few remaining HP nibs that I really love, because that gives me, this is what I normally use, and then it gives me a really good reference point when I'm comparing these two. Honestly, if I was doing a blind test, I don't think that I would be able to notice any difference between these two. There is some functionality-wise differences between these two, and they're mainly regarding the bugs and the OS state, OS 4 state currently. Mainly, if I flip to the next page and start writing, and start writing, I think that everybody noticed that, which was when I started writing on the Note Air 3C, there was a tiny bit of delay between the first stroke, but nothing really terrible. While that delay on the Note Air 4C was way more dramatic. Now, this doesn't happen every single time, but it does happen very often. So, start. It was a bit better here. Let's try again. Start. As you can see, it's not every time, but there we go. Again, so more often than not, it happens often enough that it is something that you absolutely notice, and it's something that's in the way. And not only that, but when I was actually doing the battery testing writing portion of the test, there was an accidental hand gesture recognition thing, which Boox devices do. So the device, while I was writing, and I was like all the way down to here, it flipped a page, then I flipped back, and the majority of the content was gone, and only the content in this section left. I tried to undo, redo, nothing worked. And that content, like almost the whole page, was just gone. And that I haven't had on the Note Air 3C, thankfully. So while there definitely are improvements in the the overall notebook functionality and streamlined things, which we're going to cover next, that the state of the OS 4 currently has quite a bit of serious bugs that I will not update to OS 4 until these things are actually ironed out, because they would bother me. Now, the differences and the functionalities between the notebooks, between the OS 3 and OS 4, I've already mentioned that in the in-depth review and in the dedicated OS 4 version of the video of the Boox OS 4 update. So I'm not really going to repeat myself in detail there. I'm simply going to list them. And the first is streamlining the creation of notebooks. So now, instead of going through all of these menus and these things, we have this handy option of just choosing the type of note that we want. We have an introduction of quick notes, which is really, really handy. And we also have the introduction that you can now use any PDF file that's located anywhere. You don't have to place it into a specific folder. So you can just go from a local file, and it will take a PDF file, for example. And now you can use hyperlinked PDF files like the MDO or the My Daily Organizer, which you can find on mydeepguide.com/shop, and MMP as well. And on the version 3, you could also import that, but it would strip away all of the hyperlinks, which means it would render it useless. But on the OS 4, it retains all of the hyperlinks, and that is a really, really powerful thing, because that means that you can use a hyperlinked MDO type of style of a document as a notebook template that retains all of the hyperlinked functionalities here, like so. And most importantly, that means that opens up the possibilities of using all of the notebook tools in an already powerful document like the MDO is, specifically meaning you can use the linking if you want to deal with the user experience of linking on books. But more importantly, you can actually do AI recognition of the handwriting, and you can do search recognition, which, albeit slow, it is there as an option. None of these things are possible on the OS 3 version. So that is a big plus and a big advantage of the OS 4 and the Note Air 4C. And lastly, as far as notebooks go, you also have one more addition, and that is the ability to add outlines and form your own table of contents in notebooks. So that's again something that you do not have on the OS 3 version, therefore on the Note Air 3C. But on this one, you can just press and hold, and you can add to outline, and you can just say your name of the outline, and it will add it. And when you go to the table of contents and you check your outlines, you can add the outlines. Unfortunately, the functionality of it is limited. It's nowhere near as streamlined and as real-world usable as it is on the Supernote, but you don't have it at all on the Note Air 3C and the OS 3, while you do have it if that's something that you want to grapple with the user experience and the limitations that it has currently. But it's there, and definitely an advantage for the Note Air 4C as well. And the pass-mark performance test, I think, is an important one, because it does give a much more kind of segmented look at what's what and where the differences in memory performance are, or overall performance are. So we can see that the CPU score consistently with other benchmarks, Note Air 4C performs better. The memory also performs better. The disk read and disk write speeds are actually a little bit lower on the Note Air 4C. Then we have a massive difference in the 2D graphics score, where Note Air 3C was at 8,899 and Note Air 4C is 13,847, which is a massive, massive jump. And to me, for a tablet of this type, this kind of 2D graphics score is far more important than the 3D graphics score, which is also higher, significantly higher than the Note Air 3C. But this jump is far more important because you are much, much more likely to rely on the 2D graphics performance than the 3D graphics performance on this type of a tablet. So across the board, everything except the disk read and write speed in all of the tests, Note Air 4C has dominant performance over the Note Air 3C. As far as versatility and usability, there's almost nothing between these two because they're both Android devices. Yes, Android 12 here, Android 13 there, but functionally they're all the same. Google Play certified devices, and all of the functionalities you have the split screen on both of them, auto rotation on all of them, Naviball, AI assistant if you want to do that, but FreeMark, more usable. You do have hand touch control, you have screenshot control. I think one of the new things is scrolling screenshot that you don't actually have on the OS 3 and the Note Air 3C. You can go do screen recording, voice recording, mirrorcast, screencast, all of the kind of stuff. They're pretty much equal across the board as far as versatility goes, which means both are really, really versatile devices. All right, so the conclusion time. Well, I think it's going to be a combined conclusion of my previous two videos regarding the OS 4 and the Note Air 4C. So I'm going to give you an objective and a subjective conclusion regarding this versus. Objectively, I think that the Note Air, is this the, yeah, it is the Note Air 4C. Objectively, I think that the Note Air 4C actually brings more to the table and more significant differences than meets the eye or what you could actually seemingly see on the paper, especially when you consider that they have the same price. Should you upgrade from Note Air 3C to the Note Air 4C? Well, only if you are very, very eager to start exploring and using the OS 4 features and functionalities, even though they are in a buggy state as they are currently, and if you don't mind that, and you really do care about that extended battery life that the Note Air 4C absolutely has over the Note Air 3C, then yeah, then that might make sense to kind of do, but maybe it's a little bit more prudent to wait a little bit. Why? Well, because Note Air 3C will get the OS 4, and then functionalities are going to be equal across the board. And what remains to be seen is that battery life optimization that we see on the Note Air 4C, is that something that has been optimized in the OS 4 to actually reach those levels? Or is that a updated SoC and the GPU and all that kind of stuff? So is it a hardware or a software kind of thing? So I personally would wait on that if I were to consider upgrading. Now, on a personal side, what is my conclusion? Would I upgrade to the Note Air 4C? Nope, I don't really actually see any of this more than interesting. The battery life on my Note Air 3C, I really don't mind at all because I've gotten used to it over well over a year now. So it's something that's kind of fine, and plus this device has become my friend because I'm carrying it all around, and to betray it just for the newer model would feel quite bad. These reasons may seem silly to you or whatever, but as I said, that's my own personal take. That's why I offered you the objective one as well, so that you can have both and do what you will with it. All right, that's it from me. I hope that you found the video informative and or useful. If you did, please like and subscribe and ding the notification bell in the description below to get notified when new videos come out on my deep guide. Also, do let me know in the comments down below what your opinion is, and would you upgrade to the Note Air 4C if you owned, or if you do own, the Note Air 3C. I'm quite interested to hear your own personal take as well. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!